Hello friends, I'm Cybill Sixpence. Today we're building a proper animal stable to keep your world organized and alive. I'm using the Mizuno 16 craft texture pack, so some of the blocks may look different than vanilla, but don't worry, everything works the same. This stable is a 28 by 32 blocks with room for up to 8 animals, but in this tutorial I will show 6 stalls, keeping the front 2 for storage. Here's the list of materials that you need. Find you a space and let's get started. So just as a beginning disclosure, I don't work with a schematic or anything. I am building this nearly off my head organically. So I do place blocks that I later delete, but the floor plan stays the same. So this is a 28 by 32. And we're going to start by placing stripped oak logs with a 3 space gap between each, and then raising those up a minimal of 3, leaving the 2 most inner ones at a 5 block raise and then an 8 block raise in the most center columns. Then I continue to use the stripped spruce just to frame out the way I want the stable to look. Some of these block placements will change. The 4 most inner columns of spruce wood is the primary entrance and the most walked in area. This is the space that's the middle of the stable, and so I'm going to be using kind of like a support beam, not only to help me know where the alignment of the blocks are, but it becomes part of the detailing as well. Lining the bottom part of our stable with some mossy bricks definitely gives the feel of a heavy, durable build. And from there on, I'm going to be using oak planks. That will actually go 3 high eventually, but I didn't do it right now. But if you want to just be aware that that's where I'm going with it, you can know this. From here, I am just outlining the roof with some dark oak, and I am using slabs and planks to do this with. There are going to be some changes because I definitely want everything to be even and equal, but it's going to be a very small sloped, and then after we get into the 4 inner columns, I'm going to change that into stairs. So for the 2 innermost columns, I'm going to continue with that dark oak and framing out my roof, but I'm going to be using slabs and stairs instead of slabs and planks. From here you can generally see the outline of the roof, and so now I'm going to fill all of that in with spruce and echoing that gentle slope where it's nearly flat, but then it curves up pretty sharply towards the centermost roof segment. It's still echoing those very same block usages on the plank and the slabs up until it starts matching with the stairs, and then we're going to go with the stairs. And whatever we do on this side of the roof, we are going to echo on the opposite side of the stable, still using that spruce with the planks and the blocks until we get up into the stairs, and then following through with the stairs until the lower half portion of the roof is complete. Of course, we're not going to leave such a very wide element of our barn without any kind of details. So once I get the lower part of the roof completed, I'm going to use the 5 innermost pillar as guidelines as to where I'm going to be elevating some blocks. And all I'm doing is raising it by half a block. So if the roof is already a full block, I'm going to put a slab on it. If it is a slab, I'm going to break the slab and place a plank in it in its place. With the stair part of the roof, I am breaking away that stair part and adding a block and then putting a stair on top of it. Just to make sure that I am continuing with that slope, I've added some spruce trap doors on the innermost last 2 rows of the roof, and then tipping that with a spruce stairs on the log support beams. So after using oak planks to fill up the rest of my lower portion of the wall, I'm just going to go back inside of the stable, and anywhere that I find perpendicular set of logs, I'm just going to throw in some stairs and cap everything, and then move on with the upper portion of my wall, filling that in with cobblestone and mixing it in with some mosses here and there. I'm going to do that on both sides of the building, the front and the back. So now I'm going to be throwing some areas for some good ventilation, because I imagine a stable stable without good ventilation probably stinks. And everywhere that I open up, I'm going to change that mossy brick block into a mossy stone stairs. I'm just going in and adding some more support beams onto the inside using stripped oak before moving on to the rest of the roof. So basically here with the rest of the roof, just following the same kind of themes that I've done with the lower half of the roof, where I'm going to be using the support beams as a way to measure out where I'm going to actually enhance the roof and give it a little bit extra details by raising that segment by half a block. I actually love working in as many wood types as I can, so up here at the very roof I have opted for birch. And from here we're just going to go around and add a little bit more ventilation for the animals and even bringing in that natural light. For each ventilation area I am changing for the equivalent stair variation of that particular block and then using iron bars instead of windows. I am using spruce stairs and spruce trap doors to frame around each of the windows, as well as adding some detail where the cobble layer of my stable is. And then in some places I'm also using barrels, as that the barrel texture looks very similar to the spruce trap door, and in places where I really need that block space for something else, putting a trap door works perfect. Not only that, but having a barrel in place of a trapdoor can actually add to the smoothness transition between your detail and the block that you're decorating. Whatever I do on the front side, I've been doing on the back side. And don't forget those buttons on the ends of the blocks, because they kind of make me think of like a wooden nail or something that's holding the building together. It's a really good detail. So as I mentioned before, a lot of my builds are kind of off the head, and so sometimes I change my mind, just like I am doing here. I'm going to fill in that empty space with some cobble, add some moss texturing to it, and continuing on with lighting. Most of the lanterns that I'm going to place are just directly onto the barn itself, such as these right here on the side. But these on the back I am going to be using acacia fencing to hang the light off of. But I'm also going to use that same acacia wood to separate all of the different animal compartments within the stable itself. Of course, I'm aware it's a little dark in here. Using acacia fence, I'm going to continue to light up the inside of this stable. Do take note that I am using spruce trap doors and barrels to continue to detail and decorate the inside of the stable. And when echoing those same details that we're putting out on the outside of the stable as we were doing on the inside of the stable, it starts to blend in quite well. So even when you think you've had enough lighting, just kind of do a quick stand back and observation. If it seems a little dark, it's dark. And so if you don't want to come into your stable and see some random zombie in the middle of your precious horse compartment, you might want to consider adding a light in there as well. I know personally the last thing that I want to see is I walk in there and there's a creeper and blows up half of my build. So as for walk path, my stable, I've tried to keep it mostly natural using rooted dirt, some pathway, coarse dirt. I use hay since I figured it was animal and maybe hay might be found randomly on the floor. I have packed mud. I do later go back in and I'm adding mossy cobbles, like heavily tracked area. If you are building this in a town and your town has already established a road or a pathway combination and you want to use that instead, you're not hurting my feelings. In fact, it's probably best to make this build your own and change any blocks that you think would fit your world better. Right here I've just been using a variation of job blocks to make this look like a working stable, but if you need those spaces for additional animals, you go ahead and do that. Never can have too much lighting and buttons. I know my friend Boss, he teased me one time about buttons, but buttons, it's buttons. Here it's about revegetating the area. These are window gardens lined by spruce trap doors with your favorite flowers, some grasses and some trees, and you're all finished. And that's our stable completed. 6 roomy stalls, a touch of storage, and a place your animals can finally call home. I'd love to hear how you use this build in your own world. Horses, sheep, maybe something unexpected. Leave me a comment, I do read them. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please subscribe so you don't miss on the next build. We've got more adventures and projects on the way. Until then, I'm Cybill Sixpence. Stay curious, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye!